Nice. I see Dale's on there. Pinnock's loved it, innit? He's had it on an all day in his office.
Yeah.
Incredible, mate. It is soul food. It has been soul food. I don't know if you've caught any of this today.
I've been watching it all morning.
Really?
Yeah,
You enjoyed it?
Yes. I've been pretending to work, but
That's what happens.
So many people
It's
said that.
addictive, isn't it?
bit
It is
distracting,
addictive.
isn't it?
There's some
it
wonderful
is. Had a
people.
few tears.
It's
yeah.
been a lot of that. It's been
Really,
a lot of that.
really
Well-
inspired as well.
Well, welcome to the studio, my man.
Thank
you
you.
reached out during, so when I put, so usually what happens every year, I put the post out, go, we're doing a thing, and then a few people reach out, and Anthony reached out and said, I'd like to talk about relationship with the journey you've been on with running and the relationship for your mental health.
Yeah.
And the beautiful synergy of just been talking about walking and talking for men. Well, firstly, can you introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are?
Yeah, Anthony. My name is Anthony Moore. Been living in St Neots for about 7 years, and I'd like to think that I'm quite integral in the running community locally. So I guess the big feature is that I was one of the core team with Mr. Ferguson setting up Pocket Park Run. So I was there at the beginning.
That's how I know you through Fergie.
So one of the first people to kind of get parkrun on the map here. I've since gone on to set up junior parkrun with my wife as well. We do juniors on a Sunday. So I like to think we've been responsible for literally getting thousands of people out running over the last couple of years. And then I become a run leader myself with a local group. And then beginning of 2020, just as a perfect timing, just as a pandemic hit, I set up a new running group of my own over this side of town. So I used to run Loves Farm runners over in Loves Farm, and then set up in just by one leisure. We run from there each week, Ouse Valley Running, and we're a run together group. So English Athletics sponsor us, and we do training with them, and it's just about getting people out running really. So that's me.
So you're a fan of running. You're a slight fan.
So do you know what? I live. If I'm not doing it, I'm talking about it. I'm reading about it, or I'm watching it. I have some other things I do. I do a bit of Lego. I understand you do a bit of Lego as well.
Oh, see?
It's an adult thing now. So
Yes.
So I do other things, but my life is pretty much about running when I'm not at work. And I do get it into work a little bit as well, because I'm the chief exec of a charity for sight impaired people called CamSight, and I'm also a guide runner. So I guide people, blind people who run as well. So running's a bit of a feature, but it's not always been, and I guess that's the thing really. So
that's interesting to understand where you got it, because I didn't realise all the other hats you wore. I knew obviously through the relationship with Fergie, he speaks so highly of you. I mean, he saw you on the bill, and he was like, this is a great guy.
That's good.
Have you always run?
No, so I haven't. So I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I had a brief period in my life where I wore a uniform, and I had to do a bit of running. Not get into that, but I had to do a bit of running then. And then I didn't. I just dropped it, and I didn't pick it up till about 6 years ago. So
was there a particular reason why?
Why I picked it up?
Yeah.
So about 6 years ago, I was 6 stone heavier, so like good bit heavier than I am now. I was an insulin dependent diabetic, so I used to shoot up, as we say, like 7 times a day, every meal, every drink, and I just was unhealthy. And I guess that's why I kind of tie it in with the mental health side, because actually I'm probably here more to talk about the physical health side, and I think they go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't in a great place, and so my dad at 62 died of a heart attack, and he was obese, died of a heart attack. And my granddad, he died at 60, same thing. Went to bed, both of them died over a period of time. So I had this thing in my head that was it. I got probably 60, 61, 62, and I'd peacefully accepted that. And I think that started to seep into my life. So I didn't care what I ate. I didn't do any exercise. Diabetes came on.
Justification.
So can we just rewind just 2 seconds, mate? So you were 61?
No, I'm
not.
No, not quite. No, so I'm
because you were about to say
something
very.
He slept for a while.
15 hours.
What I was about to say is no way you 61.
No, so I'm nearly 51.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm nearly 51, but my dad was 62. My granddad was 60, and I just hit that point where I accepted that 61 was probably my lot.
Yes.
So I kind of worked towards that, much to the sadness and annoyance of my children. I've got 2 grown-up daughters now and my wife, and I talk about it and they get quite upset that I accept.
Bless you.
And I don't really know what it was, but something clicked, and it was about Christmas, say about 6 years ago, and I thought, I can't do this. This can't be it, can it? This has got to do something. And this is going to sound really odd, so I'm a big fan of Bear Grylls, big fan of I studied adventure at university, which is where I met my wife, and over a period of time we got out of doing anything and just got fat, and got unhealthy. And I got hit this point, I thought, I've got to do something. And then New Year's Day, it was about 6 years ago after Christmas, feeling even heavier, as you do, probably near 7 stone heavier, And I was on the internet, saw something about Bear Grylls, I thought, have a look at that. So I booked something. I said to my wife, Jen, you've met Jen, haven't you, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely.
I booked a weekend away, going away. So what are we going to do? Where are we going? I said, I booked a Bear Grylls survival race. And she was like, what the fuck? So along with this race, we got free training over at a place called Fortitude Fitness over near Camborne.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the obstacle race training centre. We got free training there. And to get ready for this race. As I went along, we did this 2 hours on a Saturday morning. It took nearly 3 weeks to recover. Not a word of a lie. It just broke us. But we went back, and then we went back, and then the race came, and we really enjoyed it because we like being outdoors, and really enjoyed the race. And thought we'll do some more. So before I knew it, we're doing this obstacle racing, and Fortitude Fitness are sponsoring us, and we got a team together. And I suddenly realised, like about a year in, they were getting longer and longer. These races are getting longer and longer. I'm signing up for more and more, and I suddenly discovered I had to do some running. It wasn't just about climbing through hoops or over a net. I'm going to have to do some running.
Yeah.
So I started to run, and I thought, I enjoy the running more than my wife, Jen, and so I kind of got it. I just got into it a bit more. And then my granddad-in-law, my wife's granddad, passed away, and Alzheimer's related illness, and I wanted to do something, so I thought, I know, half marathon, I can handle it. It's like, yeah. So I signed up Alzheimer's research, half marathon, and then I thought, I can barely run 5k, like from A to B. I've got to do something, and I contacted. I'm not mentioning names because I contacted a local running club who told me I didn't run fast enough for them to come back next year when they had a beginner's course. So I was like, it kind of put me off a bit. And my wife said, why don't you put a post? So we've been here about 7 years, so this is about 6 years ago. Didn't know anybody, literally didn't know a soul, didn't really go out, didn't see people locally. My wife said, why don't that St. Neots page run by that bloke who pisses everybody off?
I wonder who that is.
Yeah. So I put a post on this page saying, I really need to get out, really want to find somebody to run with. And I got 3 messages. One of them was from Ferguson saying, fancy getting involved with parkrun. I'm trying to set it up. I thought, I'll go and beat him. On a snowy Sunday afternoon, it's like going to a dogging car park, meeting him in one relationship.
Nice.
He's a sort of character as well.
He'd turn up on a snowy Sunday afternoon, and he stood there. So he was one of them. Another one was a young lady called Claire Price, who was one of the leaders at Loves Farm Runners.
Yep.
And another chap called Tom, who just messaged me and said, really struggling with my own mental health. I want somebody to run with. So I took all 3 offers. So I went and met Stephen, and the rest is history. 4 years on, pocket parkrun, amazing, and then junior parkrun. I went along and ran with Loves Farm Runners, which at the time were all women. They're all women, and I'm the only bloke. And I felt intimidated. It's like an odd thing to say, quite intimidated. But I got involved with them, and then eventually they were like, we'll pay for you to become a run leader, and you do a qualification and you can take other people out. And then I started running with Tom, and it just grew and grew. And I started doing Couch 5k sessions with Loves Farm, and we did loads, and it went really well. I'm a massive advocate of Couch 5k.
Yeah, it's handy,
for those that don't know Couch 5k, it's a 9-week programme. It takes you from nothing to running 5k or 30 minutes over 9 weeks. Starts off free.
It's a free app as well.
Yeah, you do it with the app and stuff. So I did that over there, and it just took over my life, and like I say, just started to live and breathe it. And the changes for me personally are, the physical health. To say the weight I've lost, my favoured distance now is ultra. So I can go out and run 6 or 7 hours just a bit like your talkathon, really. And,
yeah, you do.
You said you're running it.
Yeah, physical
Yeah,
version
so-
of
How many
the
miles is that? Is that a double marathon? Is it?
So it is. It's so an ultra officially is anything over. Some people say it's anything over 26.2, but anything further than a marathon. So generally, people say 30 miles is kind of like start, and it goes up and up. I've got a couple of challenges this year. One of them's 70, and it's a thing called the Wall, and you run from Carlisle to Newcastle along Hadrian's Wall. And I've tried it twice, and I've failed twice. And I've suffered after it each time, physically and mentally, just failing, you know. So this year I've got a kind of third shot, and it's like this year's going to be the year.
It's going to be.
I mean, you've got
It's
26
70 miles.
hours, so you've got 26 hours to complete it, and you just keep going until you do.
Man,
I have to admit,
Superman.
I did the London Marathon 8-9 years ago, and I walked another 2 miles afterwards. So technically, I've done an ultra marathon.
Well,
as
yes,
well.
you could argue you have.
What? Dude, that's
Jenny did that.
incredible, man.
It is
fair
amazing.
play, man. Fair play. What a story. Like we've talked. There's been a lot, as you know, if you've been listening throughout the day. There's been various different kind of threads. I'm always trying to find the threads and the stuff, and it all comes back down to endurance. And that word endurance. The benefit to you personally, the knock-on effect to the community is by a byproduct almost in this scenario. Obviously, I know there's probably a lot of complexities around developing the community and things like that around that, but actually the endurance for you to go, okay, I'm going to stick at this thing, and then to get hooked on it, you're never going to stop running, are you?
I'd like to think not, as I say. So when I think about that, you know, I gave myself this life expectancy of 60 based on family history, and now I look at people in their 70s and 80s that are still running, and I'm like, I want that to be me. I want to keep going. You know, injury can stop you. I was out myself, and before I started Ouse Valley running, end of 2019, I had a back injury. Fell off a windsurfer it was in Spain. I had a bit of a back injury. I didn't walk for a couple of months. Like literally, my sciatic nerve was trapped like in my spine, and I had to have it removed and stuff. And so I was out for a bit, and I'm still building on that. But I kind of realised as you get a bit older, because I say I'm 51 this year, things don't heal the same. So whereas I might have thought, okay, just crack on with it, now I'm a bit more mindful of those kind of niggles and stuff.
I'm 51 this year. I
know, it's what
I'm
I say.
51 this year.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'd like to talk about your relationship with food before you know, because I have a yo-yo diet with food. I can go skinny, I can go a bit bigger. I'm a lot bigger than I used to be, a lot bigger than this. And I don't know if it runs in the family as well, because my mum and dad felt the same. I mean, even my grandparents before that. You're saying you lost your dad from it as well, from obesity. Do you think there's a role in parenthood? You know, goes down into genes. Do you think with food, or is it just a relationship with eating the wrong kind of food?
See, and this is an interesting thing, because my diabetes is clearly genetic. My dad had it, my sister's got it, my brother's got it. But it is like, it was late onset, as they used to call it. And I would say food related.
Yeah.
So and historically, like work-wise, so I started off life, I was a chef, and then I was in hotel management, and I worked in that. My dad did as well. We worked in that area. I ate lots of the wrong stuff, and I'm going to be honest, I still do.
Yeah.
But I know now, if I eat, you know, donuts or whatever
Thank you, Bob.
yeah, that's if I eat them, I'm going to go out running. So it kind of counteracts.
Yeah.
It's like the running is now my insulin. So you know, I can.
So you off the insulin?
Yeah, I've not took insulin now for close to 5 years.
Absolutely
So
crazy.
I still take some medication, but it's
Yeah.
not insulin, and it's not. I'm not like it doesn't control my life now. So I'm on a few things for diabetes that you just have to be on, because my pancreas doesn't work. You know, it's simple, really.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
And do you know what? It's easy for me to say it, and I'll say it, and people will be like, "Well, anyone can do it." You know, I think for me, I've read into a lot of research about diabetes and physical health as well, and you can beat it. You know, you can beat it. You can control it, and I think that's the thing. You can control it without insulin, because insulin's life changing in itself. You know, your driving license, your car insurance, the fact that you've got 7 times a day, you've got to calculate what you're eating. So yeah, I think the food thing, the food question, yeah, it's related, but it's related to everything in your life, how your family eat, what. I always find it interesting. Oh, my kid only eats fish fingers. Yeah. Stop feeding them fish fingers then. It's like my kid will only eat X, Y, and Z. Well, don't buy X, Y, and Z because they'll get hungry and eat whatever. So I do try and think about what I eat, but I do know that if I want to eat bad, if I want to have a kebab, I'll have a kebab because I'm still going to go out and counterbalance that.
You've got that awareness.
So, and I think. It is like that's about me. That's about what I want, and I try and get that. And like the park run is a great example. I'm some things I'm really proud of in my life. It's Pocket is one of them.
Yeah, well, I've only been down, so I came down. So I don't run at all, but I did come down to walk. So I took one of the
walk and talk.
Yeah, we've done the tail walking with.
I led one of them walks around there because I think I'm like seventh person in the queue because I'm usually last to respond to anything on WhatsApp. But then I was like, no one's put their hand up, so I put my hand up and I come along and I've got a feel for the community. Yeah. Even when we're walking around, it's just a lovely vibe. Like people just like I'm walking around and they're like, I don't know why it's just a different, not normal. Right? Yeah, it's just a lovely. It's a lovely thing. It's a lovely thing.
I did London Marathon a few years ago, and I got a bug for running. And unfortunately, I got a knee injury from that marathon, and I really missed it afterwards. At the point I got told that I could never play football or run again, and it really mentally got me down massively because at that time I'd just finished playing football anyway. I didn't really want to play anymore anyway. But it was the fact that it's been taken away from me, the fact that I could never do that again. I miss, and it's gutted because just like 2 short months after getting a real massive buzz from the London Marathon, get told I'm never going to have that kind of buzz again. It's awful. And again, from a physical point of view, I'm like, well, what do I do next? Yeah. I'm devastated.
I think that's where I was when I did my back a few years ago because by that time it was my life. Running was my life already, and the idea of having an injury that stopped me doing that spurred me on to want to do it more. If I'm honest. And
it's always the way, isn't it? It's always the way.
Yeah. As I say, they're coming out of that setup like Ouse Valley, which is run together groups and a national thing, and. Now it's all about getting other people out, and I think we've got registered about 110 members registered. Every week we do runs on a Monday and a Wednesday night. We get about, over the course of the week, anything between sort of 30 and 50 people
That's
out
amazing.
Running. And they're not, I always say, they'll tell me off for this when they if there's some of them watching.
Yeah, so I see them. Yeah,
I always say, they are... I say they're not runners. They're not runners when they leave the front door, but they are runners once they join the group, Yeah. And people say, but I'm, they'll come along, do the Catch 5K, and so I'm not a runner. Well, you are, because you put your trainers on. Yeah. And literally, that's the hardest thing.
Who's to define you? Who's to define you?
Like you said, that's the qualification, isn't it? You left the door. Yeah. With those trainers on, you're running.
And that's the start. That's the hardest part to do. Getting going. Physically and mentally, the barrier of getting out that door and putting your trainers on. And I think, as I say, that's where for me the physical and the mental come into one because it's everything for me. They both. If, like you just said, if you didn't have the physical, your mental it just goes. Isn't it? It's just like so.
It's really affected me massively.
So what can we do? What can we do? What can we do to inspire more people to get involved in that? Because that is an asset to the town, much like the Walk and Talk for Men crew and for Men to Talk crew. What can we do as a community to support?
So I think it's about awareness, really, and I'm trying that. So I've got a Facebook page called the St. Neots Running Community.
Brilliant. Can someone find that and stick it in the comments, please?
Yeah. So and I'm the only admin on it at the minute. I took it over from somebody else a few years ago. It's got about 500 people on it.
Yeah, great.
We've got a massive running community in St. Neots already.
Yeah,
it's huge. We've got, Riverside Runners, got us, got Loves Farm Runners, got Nice Try, we've got KG Running Buddies. There's a group for everybody. Yeah. So I would say just either find the group that's right for you or find, if you've never run before or you're coming back from injury or you've had kids and that's quite a common one. A lot of the ladies that run with us have had kids and are coming back to it. Get on a Catch 5K. I know Loves Farm's got one on at the moment. We've got one starting mid-Feb. Brilliant way to get out, but it's not just about the running bit. It's about community, and it's about a lot of what we are run together as a social running platform.
Shared connection.
It's about people getting out and running together, And it's not about running marathons as such.
No.
It's not about running your fastest 5k at Pocket.
No.
It's just about a platform to get out, get a little bit healthier, get a little bit more physical, meet people.
Yeah.
And we got a private members page who's Valley have as well. And once you're running with us, we get you on there. And the relationships that have been made, it was really interesting setting up post-pandemic. And actually, we were the only running group in the first year that carried on. So I used Strava, which is a running app.
Yeah.
As soon as you could go out one-to-one, we were out running again. And ridiculously, I used to go out in Pocket Park. I would run 20 or 30k, and every 5k, somebody new would join me. So bending the rules a little bit, but I was still just one-to-one, you know. So I would run 30k, but 6 other people would get out in that morning and run with me as well, run their 5k with me.
Very good.
And we kept that going and built it through that time. So it's just the connection's really important. And I was chatting to a couple of the ladies, Nicola, who was in before when I was outside, and I was saying to them, it's not necessarily just about the running, it's about getting outside, it's about that connection with the outdoors, walk and talk,
Nature
running.
is amazing.
I mean, as I say,
It's a wonderful healer, isn't it?
it is. It's just about getting out and doing something.
Yeah.
For me, it's running. It's not just running. I kayak and I paddleboard and I cycle. I do lots of other stuff as well. But
Kindred spirit over
Paddleboard,
there.
Yeah, no, that's what I was
I'm a
thinking.
paddleboard.
about.
yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
connect. And again, huge growing community
Yeah.
in St Neots paddleboarding.
We got
What's a group of paddlers? They've got to be called paddlers, surely.
Yeah, they are paddlers.
Are they paddlers?
Yeah,
You see-
No way.
Yeah,
one of
paddlers.
our best performing posts. I'm not on Facebook these days. I've deleted the app a long time ago. I use it for like days like this. I've used it in my laptop, but I don't have it on my phone. So anyway, one of the best posts I ever did was when I was sat in a pub.
Saw me
And
come
I
by.
saw him going down on his
Oh, I saw
paddleboard
you
at
took a video.
the bridge, and I took a picture. I went, Tony Robbins
that's right.
spotted in St Neots
You
on
go
a
Tony
paddleboard.
I did see
Spotted
that.
on the
I
rivers,
did.
isn't it? It's like-
Love your paddleboard, man.
I do love it. Yeah.
Mate, I love this. I'm conscious that the stream is going to drop in about 4 minutes. I don't want it to cut off. I see some lovely comments in here. We're going to be moving to another stream in 4 or 5 minutes. Now, we asked the last. I'm
I like
keeping
that
with this trend now. So we've put the comments in there. Check out the comments, by the way. I've been trying to keep an eye out, do it afterwards. But there's some lovely support in there
Yeah,
for what you've
great.
done.
Yeah, have a read.
You sharing that, man. That's amazing. I'm just glad we've connected, if nothing else. And we'll do. And you need to connect with Dan Dodson. He's setting up a sports alliance.
Yeah, so I saw something about this.
Yeah.
We've not been invited. That other running club got invited. I saw
Yeah,
that,
no,
but we
everyone's
need to-
everyone's been invited.
we
I
need
think
to get
but
connected.
it's hard to understand what everyone's doing, right? So we
And-
didn't know each other until you reached out on. Do you know what I
That's
mean?
right, and I want to use that St Neots running community page as a platform for everybody.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
about my club.
No.
That's about
Well,
everybody.
Well, the Sports
clubs
Alliance is
and-
about chucking decent resources, funding, and support towards any form of sport in the town. That's not a council thing. That's not anything else other than sports should start talking to each other.
Yeah.
We asked the last 2 guests. Asked you, what do you want to be telling yourself a year from now?
Telling
So
myself.
what would you tell yourself
Wow,
now,
okay.
a year from now?
That's a big question. So I think that I'd like to be. So I really want to grow the community. I want to look back in a year's time, sit here, and
I'll
let's
set you a challenge.
come back and talk about how the community's grown, how Pocket's grown, how Juniors has grown, how all the clubs have been able to support more people, on their journey. Whether that's to become a proper athlete and doing, and again we've got proper. We're all athletes, but we've got a lady Jo who was on the GB marathon team, and Guy, a friend of mine, Scotty, he runs OCR internationally and stuff. So I'd like to inspire more people to get out, and I want to be able to tell myself I did that,
Love that.
in a year's time.
So in a year, so I'll set you a challenge then. Years, you love a challenge, clearly.
I do like a challenge.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
so-
I guessed. A year from now, come back, bring someone from the adults and someone from the juniors
I
with
love
you.
that.
Absolutely, yeah, we
Yeah.
can do that.
And
That-
it's
that
how
sounds
you
good.
how you decide to embark that challenge of your community, what that incentive needs to look like, whatever it is, how that works out. I'll leave it up to you, but you've got an open invitation to come back next year,
Brilliant.
and let's have that challenge. And at some point, I need to do a Couch to 5K or something because I've got to do a lot of walking apparently next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ready for September.
I'll take the challenge, and I'll get you out running as well if you want.
I'll do it.
So,
I'll come out.
I tell you what. So I know he's on. I know he's back on later. So what one of my inspirations is Ferguson, as you know, but he's he won't mind me saying, everybody knows he's a big lad, but he's a 6-star marathon holder. So he's done the 6 biggest marathons in the world.
I did not know that.
And he inspired me. He's not running at the moment, so you've set me a challenge. I'll set you a challenge. If I can get you out, get him back out.
Well, me and him could do it together. We need some
yeah.
romance time anyway.
Absolutely.
We've fallen out a
So-
lot.
Yeah.
We're going to rekindle a run.
We're going to lose our feed, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so right, we're going to
Love
switch over to. So thank you, Anthony.
No, thank you for the
Me
time.